Hey, David, welcome to LaunchDay.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you were one of the first people to buy a spot when I announced September. Oh my God, it's almost 1 year ago. Crazy.
Yep.
And back then, and I want to start with this because I think that's interesting. You had this indie product that you were starting, and then now I said, hey, you can have your spot now that I launched. But since then, you started raising a little bit of money.
Yes, a little
Which
bit.
is very interesting. Yeah, which is very interesting because I think, at first I was preventing everybody who was not 100% indie because it was just simpler. But I realized a lot of people, like, you can still be pretty much indie and just have like raised just a little bit to keep going. And it's not
Mhm.
like big VC or anything like that. It's just like some investment so you can, focus on your product. So
Yeah.
what happened, in the past 9 months? Like, what were you working on? Like, what happened? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. When it happened, I was working at another startup in a fintech startup. And the AI agent explosion was kind of happening. So there was some kind of interesting products online like Eliza OS, that you probably saw on Twitter. There was these kind of agents that were connected to a token, and they would kind of tweet at the same time. And I got really interested in that and started contributing just kind of on the weekends and stuff to the Eliza OS project it was an open source project. So just started contributing.
Yeah.
And actually got invited to join the team as a core developer. So I started working kind of directly with them and really getting a lot of experience for how AI agents kind of work. Um,
So you have a engineering background. You're like a developer.
yes, yeah. So I've been a software engineer for about 15 years. I didn't start off that way. But yeah, I've been in the space for quite a while now. I've worked at kind of small startups all the way to larger companies. I was a software engineering manager at Capital One, a few years
Yeah.
ago. Um, and Cisco Systems before that. So I grew up in the Bay Area, so I was kind of surrounded by that. So that's kind of where kind of ended up going down that path. Um,
Yeah, I love behind you to see. Is it like a first Macintosh or something?
yeah, it's not quite the first one, but definitely one of the earlier ones. This is the one I like kind of grew up with. It's the Mac, the Apple II, and then there's a Mac 2 SE on the other side. So
Oh
it's
my
not
God,
the original
legendary
ones.
stuff.
Yeah, not the original ones I had growing up, but I found some on eBay for a reasonable price, so I had to pick those up for fun.
That's beautiful,
Um,
man.
yeah, so I during that kind of AI agents explosion, there was a lot of interest in that, especially on the kind of crypto side. So that's where I started applying. I was currently working at a startup. I didn't really have the bandwidth. I really wanted to work on a project, and at the time, the project that I submitted to you with originally was a podcasting app.
Yeah.
I tried pitching that, and kind of at the same time, Google had come out with this was it Notebook LM, which was basically a way to turn documents into a podcast. And so my original pitch for I ended up kind of pitching to LaunchDAO, which is a crypto incubator, for a kind of
Mm.
AI podcasting slash crypto sort of a project. And so kind of just have been pivoting ever since then. I ended up kind of getting into that. It was a really, really good experience. Got some time to go to San Francisco. I live in
Okay.
Texas now. So I had to kind of go to back and forth to San Francisco quite a bit during the incubator. But got connected to some really, really great founders, through that program, and, kind of pivoted a whole lot until we got to where we are now.
So it's like a small incubator. That's it. How do you get into these things?
So the way that I got in, just like the standard application process, they're kind of um, so you submit just the idea basically. Like I didn't have any VC
Oh,
connections. I don't know anything. So I just, they, you know, this Y Combinator does the same thing where their A16Z has a kind of incubator as well, where once every quarter they'll have like kind of a batch of companies. So you submit your ideas, they kind of go through these thousands of applications and they kind of pick through that. They find, based on all these VCs have kind of, a thesis about what's happening in the market right now. And at the time that I was
Yeah.
in, it was AI agents. So, having the kind of crossover there was just kind of, I think I just kind of got lucky with the right idea with at the right time. Um,
Hmm.
and so, yeah, I had a couple of calls and so there was some kind of conversation before I got invited to it. And I didn't really have anything at the time. Like it was really mostly an idea and like a very simple MVP.
And so initially you started with, okay, this is a podcast app to train what Google Notebook is it like that they do.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's just
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so the kind of journey to what we actually have now, which is kind of an AI workflow for that basically looks like a text editor. Um, Eliza OS was kind of an agent that a lot of people, even the founder Shaw, would kind of get frustrated sometimes, and I've seen you talk about it, where it's just like if people are using AI to kind of respond on Twitter in a kind of inauthentic way sometimes,
Yeah.
and so they're actually and that was kind of really the early version of my product, which like turned out was just not the right way to go. I think there's been a lot of kind of pushback against that, and ultimately it was kind of making the web a worse place, which is not at all what I wanted to do.
But
So
wait, so how is it connected to podcast and Twitter replies? I don't get it.
yeah. Well, that was the original idea. Like that, it just pivoted so many different times. It got to
Okay, so please take me through it. Okay, so
yeah.
you mean you started with the Twitter reply or you started with the podcasting?
Well, it was originally going to be the way that it's connected really is just in the way that AI kind of generates content is similar to the way that a an influencer would generate content. You're kind of like absorbing the information that's happening on the web. You're reading tweets, you're
Yeah.
kind of reading books, you're reading information, you're reading the latest news and kind of commenting on it. And so, the original idea was like, well, we can kind of, do a lot of that work for someone. And really, this is something that I wanted to use. Um, it's something that, if you could actually create something, filter in all of the information that I consume on a daily basis. I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm watching Twitter, and kind of generate something from that.
Yeah.
um, and then actually create something of value, not necessarily something that's going to be spammy, but something that actually kind of actually combines all the information that I would normally consume and kind of finds the best of it, puts it together into one thing. And I think
Yeah, so it's not just like some random comment. It's more like the brain behind it.
right,
How
right,
your brain thinks to come up with ideas for content.
right. And so that's kind of the long-term vision. I don't know that that's necessarily um, you know possible right now. I think there's and that's kind of why the tool that I built now, there's a lot of it's human intervention first. There's a human in the loop at every single step, and you're basically using AI
Okay.
tools to kind of create the context, pull the context together in the way that AI can do best. And then you have the final say on what the actual content that goes out is. And so it's made for longer formed content rather than kind of just short. You're not replying to 100 people with like these kind of quick comments. Gary Vaynerchuk has this idea that when you're on social media, you're supposed to do kind of this jab, 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 left hook. So the best way to kind of grow is to do a lot of small things, reply to a lot of comments, which is, one takeaway I took from your Twitter course,
Mhm.
that I took like a while back. But then you also need to have this kind of like longer, more thought out content. And that's really the
Yeah, that's
thing
it.
that
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of create tools around, to make easier for creators.
So just to be clear, it's absolutely 0% related to podcast now.
Yeah. Now it
Okay,
eventually
okay.
eventually you might be able to create a podcast from it, but yeah.
Okay, I see. So can you show it? Because I'm just curious. Because to be honest, I really hate AI replies. That
Yeah.
really makes me that I block people basically when they do
I,
that. Where- And I hear some arguments like there's some people who are like, you know, I've noticed people who like have struggled to speak English,
uh-huh.
and so they say, yeah, but that's how I can express myself. And I'm
Right.
like, I think I prefer someone who speaks shitty English, to be honest, though. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because like it's I don't know what you think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made for it for sure. I think it just depends on how if it's literally just improving your grammar, that seems like that's one thing. If it's, if it's completely coming up with something out of nothing that, didn't actually come from your mind, then it's just kind of
Yeah.
inauthentic. So,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Okay, so
yeah, so
show
this
us this absolutely not podcast tool. I'm just curious.
Yeah, so this is Hyperfeed, and this is kind of the main interface where we have kind of pre-created a bunch of different blueprints that you can kind of choose from. Um, and if you used other kind of AI content creation tools, so one of the more popular ones is kind of like N8N or Zapier, um, where you're able to there's kind of three steps to it. You like pull in some data from some data source. Um, you run some AI prompting on it, and then you kind of
Mhm.
publish it out somewhere. And a lot of time that's from like a Google Sheet to another Google Sheet or something like that, and then it gets filtered out. And you can kind of start with a template. So these are a number of templates that you can kind of start from, different things
Mm.
from like YouTube transcripts to an RSS feed.
So it seems to always be starting from existing content or existing thing. It's
Data.
not coming
Yeah.
up with bullshit. It's like
Right.
starting
Yeah.
from
It's
something.
connected, grounded in truth is kind of the idea. Grounded in some sort of actual like live information is kind of the goal. So for example, this is the main editor. Looks just like a text editor. You can use it exactly like a text editor. So this is the example of the
Mm.
crypto. So we're basically taking a live stream of crypto data, and it can be for any particular whatever your favorite token is, and it'll take that data. And so you have a selection right here. This is kind of pre-filled for you, but you could also kind
Okay.
of change this. So you've got all your data sources there, and we kind of manage that all for you. So you don't have to worry about API keys or anything. You just select the data that you want, and it's there available. And that just kind of gives you an overview of what's the information that got pulled in. So you
Okay.
the current price here, and then from there, you can write regular text like Bitcoin data. And then you can also add kind of compose. So it's all composable. So you can also, if you ever worked with like a template editor where you can add kind of templates, this is a template that will take the context of the data source. So in this case, it's the Bitcoin price. And then we also have an image template, which is also taking that, and we have a prompt in here about how we want to display the information. And from there, you just kind of build that, and it will kind of compose all that information for you and create some new content from it. And so that'll take a second. I have an example right here of when I ran
Yeah.
earlier.
Okay.
And so you can see it, generated the image with the current price at that time, kind of summarized the information, and then included a link
Okay.
to the data. So that's like a very
And so
simple workflow.
you said like you don't need to manage API keys and everything, but like what are other examples that would require external data? So like, because it's very interesting, like this seems like just generating an image with data seems quite simple.
Yep.
Then I saw like Google search or
Yep.
like a trend that seems like Can you show? I mean, if
Yeah,
you don't mind. Oh,
so I have
of
another
course.
example here of I actually took
Okay.
your latest YouTube video,
Oh my
and
God. Okay.
so it kind of pulled the transcript from that, and uh, so you can see kind of you can read through the transcript right there, and then this is a little bit more of a complex template,
Yeah.
so yeah, this top prompt is just saying summarize the provided content. And then we're actually breaking it out into a thread. So you can see it's kind of separated here in these different areas.
Oh.
And the context kind of flows through the thread. So you can see these two pieces are connected. So this image is connected to this part of the thread. This image is
Oh wow.
connected
Okay.
to this part.
That's advanced shit. I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so, it's advanced, but it's also kind of like the best way for AI to work. And it also abstracts away a lot of things because if you were to look at this on a Zapier or an A N template, it's going to be like this node connects to this node connects to this node, whereas this kind of is a text editor and there's you
Yeah. No.
can
No.
kind of
That
be
looks
more
actually
complex.
quite simple from a user perspective. But I meant in terms of how much
Yeah,
work you put into this.
right,
Uh.
right.
eh,
And so
Okay.
when you generate it, so the image pulls in the context of from the transcript, generates an image based on
Wow.
that, kind of breaks it out into the different pieces, and so the particular image should kind of match to the content in each one of these places. I have a better example of how that
No. That's
of
actually
that.
quite good already. Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, when if you were wanted to post, I don't think you would. This isn't necessarily something you would post. um, but if you wanted to, you've got kind of the direct
Hmm.
connection here, and it'll show how it's broken out into a thread for you. And so you can kind of go from, if you find a template that you like for creating, threads or blogs or content, you can kind of reproduce that by just changing, and you can easily just kind of change the data source, um,
Yeah.
and then you get all new content.
Hmm.
This is another
That
one of my
makes me
favorite.
me rethink maybe. Yeah, I'm really against it in theory. Not against, but like I wouldn't post this in theory,
Yeah,
but it looks quite cool actually. So can you show like from Google search? I'm super curious about Google search one.
yeah. I mean, we could do one live if you want to.
Yeah.
Here, let's go find here. I can just let's just change one of these existing ones. So we've got um,
I think maybe the key because the people I don't block who reply with me with AI is the ones who identify themselves.
mhm,
Like they say they're AI
yeah,
and actually don't mind.
right,
What I mind is like the bullshit. But I
right,
don't mind because sometimes AI says interesting things.
right, exactly.
And maybe the key maybe is to have like a LaunchDay account, not my account, LaunchDay account that is like kind of like a half a bot or something.
Yeah,
And then it's clear that it's that,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely some value for creators who are like, they're putting out long form content and they want to transition that into other formats too. So you want to take like a long YouTube video you did and then transition that into, share that on
Yeah.
Twitter and here's the thread of it. Because it's not going to be, you can't just take the transcript from the YouTube and post it on the Twitter.
Yeah, no,
That's
you can't. You definitely can't. Yeah.
um so yeah, Google search. You want to try launch day? It's launch
Hmm.
day,
Oh my
possibly.
God. Everybody's shitting on the fact that I have very bad SEO, so I'm scared, but go ahead.
um, so we can see what that comes up with before we run it. If it doesn't seem like it's coming up with good results, we can try something else. Okay.
Yeah.
SpaceX.
Oh yeah, SpaceX. Interesting. No,
Yeah.
it's fine. Go ahead, do it.
Let's go
Yeah.
ahead and run that. Okay. Yeah. at this point here, so you can kind of see this does take a little while, but it kind of gives you an idea of like what's happening on each step. So it'll go and fetch the data from the data sources. It'll then kind of go and write the text for you if you have text templates in there. Then you can see we have 2 AI images in there. So it'll kind of generate images for you based on the context that you've kind of connected it to.
I think that's much more interesting than just AI writing the tweet for you. Like it's one level deeper because it's finding ideas,
Right.
but actual relevant ideas that you still need to lead. You still like give the direction, so it can be like, okay, this is a YouTube, this is a whatever.
Yeah.
I
And
like it.
because it
I
doesn't
like it.
post immediately for you, it's not like a scheduling tool where you can go and schedule 10 of these out. And you
Yeah.
have to be involved in the process. So you have to read it and go like, yes, I approve of this. We also have like editing tools built in. So if it doesn't get something in the image right, you can kind of edit the image right there.
Oh,
Um,
cool. And you
you,
said there was a human involved. Is it? Do you mean just that? Just the user?
yeah, I just mean that you're the final when it actually generates this template for you. Like for this template right here, for example, you can go in and edit any of this content you want to, if it didn't get something right, you can go in and add links and edit any part of this. So it's not
Yeah,
locked.
yeah, yeah.
You can kind of use it as you would any other text editor, and it's just kind of starting you off, down the path to content creation based on live real information.
I guess there could be a bridge to also make, TikTok reels and shit like that.
Yeah,
I see it's trendy.
yeah, I may have that done before this video is out. We'll see. But like going
Oh
from
yeah,
head to a reel, it's not that much.
it's a new level of yeah, yeah. It's completely different work to do for you. Yeah,
Yeah, but you can kind of put the pieces together. You've got the content, you've got the images, and you're
yeah.
just kind of putting those things together. So yeah.
And how you think you can put them together if you don't mind sharing? Like what tech can you use for that? I'm just oh, if it's
Oh,
secret source, you don't have to say.
no, no, yeah, it's not secret. Uh, Generally, what I've been kind of playing around with for an MVP for that feature is, just basically like there's a command line tool called FFmpeg, which everyone uses, which is
Yeah,
like the lower level of, you know, video encoding abstractions. So if you want to combine like 5 different images and you want to put text over top of it, and then export that as whatever video format, and kind
yeah.
of do some video editing. You have that's kind of the command line tool that everyone uses, and you can kind of build a lot of really cool things just on top of that.
I see. I see. Man, that's cool. Wow. I like when meeting people makes me think differently about things. And now maybe I
Awesome.
will think differently about AI. Yeah, because
That's,
I would like to have like a LaunchDay account, but I don't really
yeah.
want to manage it. So that makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
just not sure people would like it. But on TikTok and even me, you can consume AI content. I'm getting used to it and it's fine.
Hmm.
The problem is when there's like this, when it when it's somebody tricking you. That's
Yeah.
what's annoying. When you think it's not AI, but when you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
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 Cool, man. Man, that was good
Awesome.
meeting you. Ah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is yeah, I hope yeah, glad to hear I changed your mind a little bit on AI content that
Yeah, I'm like,
there are use cases.
yesterday I sent an email to someone. I said, no, I don't. You seem really cool product. I like you, but it was an AI reply tool, and reply AI is a bit too much for me still, but maybe I will change my
Yeah.
mind. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm quite actually, uh, I'm in tech, but I take a long time to go with new things. I'm not excited by new tech usually. I'm really not. I'm more like waiting until things settle.
Hmm.
So that's why it's slower maybe for me,
I
yeah, to adopt things.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because I mean there's new things coming out every day, and so like you're just gonna waste half your time if you're just like jumping on every new bandwagon, and
It's true, yeah.
you
Oh
really
yeah,
got to use what
100%.
works for you and have a real
Yeah,
reason to
100%.
switch. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
think
thanks, man. I hope you can get some sales from LaunchDay because you have a really cool product, especially like it's more deep than, what a lot of AI tools are. So
yeah, I
awesome. And
appreciate
I
it.
hope you
Yeah,
have, some sales.
looking forward to launch day. Thank you very much.